us in the name of your king!
The long night is coming, and the dead come with it. No clan can stop them. The free folk can't stop them. The Night's Watch can't stop them, and all the Southern Kings can't stop them. Only together. All of us. And even then it may not be enough, but at least we'll give the fuckers a fight.
Hello, my sweet summer children. I'm back with some juice to get you through the long night. Hello, sweet summer children. You guys voted for the Grand Northern Plot. I don't know why,
Conspiracy.
but YouTube like flips out when you use the conspiracy word. I guess because they're cracking down on actual conspiracy theories.
Oh, so should we just call it GNC?
Yeah.
We can call it whatever we want. It's fine.
Get all your supplements here.
So, we're going to be doing the Grand Northern Conspiracy. We're going to be a lot seriouser than seriouser. Is that a word?
We're going to be super ethereal.
Super serious. So we're going to be a lot more serious than we normally are because we really love this theory, this idea of a greater plan, in-depth politics, secret maneuvering and shit in the North. So just going to get some super chats out of the way. Thank you, Count Balerian of House Tatters. Join Discord and the book club. Yes, so there's a book club every few days a week. Nim isn't here to tell me what those days are, and for some reason I still don't remember, but you can join the Gray Area Discord. I'll put the link in the description box after this episode. Shout out to the book club. And we have another super chat. Hello ladies, time for another round of Wed Bed Behead Targaryen Bros edition. Rob, Jon Snow, and Aegon. Yes, I believe 100% he's real. Okay, Fernando, thank you for the super chat. So what we're actually going to do today is if the super chats aren't relevant, we're going to answer them at the end of the episode. Since we're just starting, I'll go ahead and entertain this. Bed Jon Snow, wed Rob, kill Aegon. That's simple for me.
How many times do we get to bed Jon Snow? How many?
So I would say wed Rob, because then that would make me a queen and or a lady of a great house. You know, it's the heir because priorities. I'd say this is gonna sound super controversial, guys. I'm killing Jon and I'm betting Aegon because he's probably super hot. So
Targaryen.
Yeah, it's not every day you get a target. There's not many of them lying around anymore. And I mean, even if he's a Blackfire, Red or Black's a dragon. So, and if he gets a dragon, that's a dragon rider. So that's even cooler. So,
yeah.
I'm going to say wed Jon Snow because I just don't think Rob's wives have good luck. Bed Rob, behead Aegon.
Oh, y'all are haters. I'm just kidding.
That motherfucker said behead him. Behead him.
Isn't like wed, bed, behead? Yeah.
Wed, just kill. You didn't have to behead him. You just kill him.
Actually, speaking of kill, this kind of can lead us right into today's topic and beheadings.
Speaking of dead people.
Speaking of dead and beheaded characters, and Rob, what'd you know? What a good place to start.
Yes.
For the GNC.
So Alicia's our line leader today. She's here
It
to
feels
subvert.
disorganized, just like giving them behind the scene. Anyway, we are used to being a hot mess and just kind of flying by the seat of our pants, and it works. But today, part of the reason we're pushing super chats to, if they're not on topic to the end of the episode, is because we have so much to talk about. And super chats kind of vortex us into getting distracted. But anyway, let's talk about Rob's will. His discussion with Catelyn at Old Stones, their little disagreement about it. Rob's plans after Edmure's wedding to Rosalind. Yeah. So Rob has 6 people co-sign his will, 7 people in all who were witness to the will, and the captain of the Merryham, that ship that took Theon to Pike and was held by the Greyjoys for a really long time. That captain came back to the north, or to the Riverlands, to warn Rob of the Greyjoys' treachery. Rob had him in the tent right before signing the will, but he kind of asked him to leave the tent where the captain waited for his reward. So the captain was not actually in there. 7 witnesses in all, 6 co-signers of the will, which were Reynold Westerling, Great John Umber, Jason Mallister, Edmure Tully,
Mage Mormont,
and Galbert Glover. Yep, thank you so much.
Gotcha, girl.
And Catelyn was just kind of there for the signing of it.
Sorry.
Last time we talked about Catelyn, I didn't rag on the bitch too much, but it's gonna happen.
Tonight is the night. Ooh, I'm pumped.
So with that said, let's backtrack. So before the will was signed, Rob was was kind of in the ruins of Old Stones with Catelyn. They were having a discussion about someone succeeding Rob, and Catelyn said some shit that I'm just like, you're a hating ass bitch.
So Catelyn essentially suggested that rather, let me fast forward, rewind a little bit. At this time, it is believed that Bran and Rickon are dead. Sansa is currently married to Tyrion. Arya is missing in action, presumed dead. So John is essentially Rob, to his knowledge, only living sibling left. Catelyn suggests that, well, you have those distant cousins from your great grandpa's sister that married a Royce that live in the Vale. Yeah, maybe they should be your heirs. This is my face of really disappointment that you would suggest non-Northern people that Rob does not know, that the Northerners have no relationship with, should lead and take the North over Jon Snow.
And it's at the suggestion of someone who's not a fucking Northerner.
You're not even from there. You don't even go there.
What is it MJ says? Audacity is on sale with this bitch.
Yes. Clearance.
It's absolute clearance. Buy one, get one.
Yeah, I mean, that is some super fucking crazy audacity that she would suggest some long lost cousins. And the North is a hard fucking place, ruled by hard men, all with first men blood. To think some little kids from the Vale that have some second removed cousin, so Catelyn, sometimes she was just so fucking dumb.
And I think she was reaching too, because at first, and this is where I don't think she was just being I really think she was hating on Jon in this moment. She wasn't just concerned about the Blackfires, because the whole point of the will, where he it's heavily suggested, semi-canon at this point, I think most of us can agree that Jon was named as heir. The whole point of naming Jon his heir is because there is literally fucking no one else. So if there's no one else, Jon's not in competition with anybody fucking else. What is she talking about? Well, I don't want his children to compete with my grandchildren. Bitch, if you had grandchildren to be had, Jon wouldn't be in the fucking picture as an heir, dumbass.
I think for her, it was more or less Sansa's children. I think she wanted Sansa's children, if she were to have children with Tyrion, to at least be the viable like heir. However, Rob very pointedly points out,
fuck the Lannisters.
You really think, because she's like, well, what are your sisters, right? She's like, if you think I'm gonna hand the North over to Tyrion Lannister, are you out of your mind?
Right.
Like
that's even more audacious, I think. Like,
Yeah.
you're basically handing the North over to the fucking Lannisters.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's like, I would understand, like, how do I put it? I think in the will, there is a clause, like, pretty much how in my mind, how it's structured is more or less like, Jon is meant to be made heir only if Rob does not produce any issue. Like if if Rob does not have any children whatsoever, no matter what the sex of the child is, then and only then, if he has no more remaining living heirs, then it's to go to Jon.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if you put that like a no more remaining living heirs, that can, like, if Arya were to turn back up, she'd be the person to take it. But not only that, it's Jon. Like, she really doesn't know Jon, because the Jon that we know, at least like pre-death Jon, I wouldn't see him taking something from his siblings.
Me either.
He's not that tight.
She didn't help. She doesn't know him.
She doesn't. And Rob even said that, like, Jon wouldn't do that. Like, you don't know Jon. Like, Jon would not do that.
Yeah. And that's like a part of her bane, to be honest, is that she doesn't know him. She never got to get to know him, to know that he isn't like this, just this little bastard, this little crumb snatcher that's here to take everything my kids have. Like, no, bitch.
You don't have any kids left, according to you.
Yeah. You think she's like super salty because Jon, minus Arya, but like Jon's like the only one that looks exactly like Ned's family?
Yeah.
Like, all her kids favor her. I think that like burns her a little bit. Like,
you know what's fucked up? I know we're getting sidetracked again. She's always like, none of my kids look like Ned, and then Arya's just standing over there.
Like, what am I, like, chopped liver?
Like, Arya, act more like a lady, you know. But so they kind of have that argument in the ruins of Old Stones, and then they make it into the tent where, you know, Rob starts talking to them about not only like, hey, I'm going to write this will. I need an heir. I need you guys to sign it. But he also gave the lords, the Northern lords, kind of like a to-do list. As soon as the wedding was done, they need to retake Moat Cailin. They need to retake the North. I don't know a ton about strategy and war and battles, but in my mind, as I'm reading it, I'm like, that is a great plan. That's just too damn bad.
It didn't work out that way.
Right. So he basically, you know what, though? This was long before Storm of Swords. I think it was in Clash of Kings. He gave instructions to Roderick Cassel to tell Manderley to build him a war fleet. So the Manderleys are using timber from the Umbers. The Umbers were a bit reluctant to work with the Manderleys. Their hand was kind of forced in that matter. Just because, I don't know. The Umbers are the Umbers. What's up?
I'm just trying to remember. Wasn't that Ned's original order to Catelyn when she wasn't supposed to take Tyrion? Like, part of her to-do list was to get Wyman Mandel. Okay, all right. Yeah, all right. Carry on.
Because he was talking about, we will be in sore need of his ships. We will be in sore need of the fucking Greyjoy ships.
Oh, looks like at least somebody listened to Ned.
So keep the on close. Man, she really screwed the pooch on that one. Pooch screwed. So he gave orders for Mage and Galbert. Anyway, he gave Glover and Mormont, he gave orders for them to go up the neck and find Howland Reed. So they were supposed to be flying Rob's standards so that the Crannog men engaging in their guerrilla warfare knew, like, okay, these are the Starks. They were supposed to go to Howland Reed and give him instructions. So what Rob did was he gave Mage and Galbert each letters with false instructions in case they were taken captive, either by the Ironborn or some other enemy. He brought Reynold with him to the Red Wedding. He brought Great John Umber with him to the Red Wedding. One was presumably killed, the other was taken captive. And yes, Edmure Tully, of course, went to the Red Wedding because it was his wedding.
Jason Mallister, was he also at the? I know he's a captive right now, but I can't remember if it was at the Red Wedding or at Duskendale.
It wasn't at Duskendale.
I
don't remember if he.
Oh no, because it was Tallheart and
Tallheart, Kerwin, Tallheart and Glover. That's right. And then Tallheart, Kerwin, and Hornwood forces were decimated during the sack of Winterfell and Clash of Kings.
Oh wait, it would make actually. I think Mallister was at the Red Wedding because it's in the Riverlands. And
so Patrick, his heir, was definitely at the Red Wedding. I didn't stop to think about where Jason was at that time, but at the moment, he's captive in his own castle right now because the River Lords were all like not as many River Lords.
He's at Seaguard. Thanks, guys.
Yep. So yeah, you have those 6. That's what they're up to. I don't know if Reynold's dead or not. There are parts of me that are like, okay, his death wasn't really confirmed. They left room for him to come back alive. But this is also a world where like a fierce Dothraki warrior who's never lost a battle a day of his life dies of an infected boo-boo. So he kind of like got shot in the stomach and then threw himself off the battlements into the Green River where there were already a bunch of other dead bodies. Yeah, and blood. And realistically, like blood pathogens and shit like that in the water. Anyway, so that's where our 6 co-signers.
Ooh. Can we get into Mage and Galbert for a second in the net?
Yes.
So, all right. I obviously think Mage and Galbert did reach the neck based on the fact that Robb gave them the orders to have Howland Reed and the Cranning Men essentially attack anybody that like guerrilla warfare at Mokalan and start fortifying it and like pretty much get it ready for like Robb's troops to eventually like mosey their way up there. Obviously the Red Wedding happens, so they switch up their plan a little bit, but we do see the Cranning Men in Theon's chapter. They are like doing like a guerrilla warfare against the Ironborn. And also, I know I'm jumping a little ahead here. We'll circle back to it. A certain other Glover openly says that his brother, I'm talking about Robert here, says my brother was in
Robert.
Whatevs.
No, I'm just being a bitch. Just keep going.
Whatevskis, whatever his homie's name is. The R. Glover, Sybil's husband, is pretty much positive that his brother is alive. And everybody assumed he died at the Red Wedding, but he, like, obviously months and time have passed since then, and he's like wholeheartedly positive his brother's alive. So I think some messages started making their way out of the net.
He speaks on it with confidence because I remember when he's leading Davos from his comfortable little cell to secretly meet with Wyman Manderley, he says something to Davos like, oh, it's my brother's seat. You know, and it still is thanks to Stannis, like very matter of fact, because Robert is Galbert's heir, because Galbert is unmarried, has no children. So the fact that he very confidently, without like that aggression, like it's a seat, like denial sort of thing, just very blasé about it, like, yeah, it's my brother's seat. And it still is thanks to Stannis. So I think they definitely made it to Greywater Watch with their orders. What's on top of it, I wish Mandy was here. Like, they most definitely found, as Mandy puts it, the clitoris of
Westeros.
The clitoris of Westeros, because a woman was with them.
Exactly. Mage found it.
Mage found Greywater Watch.
Ooh.
So,
do you think that they have the will? Like, so that would be like Mage, Galbert, and Howland Reed?
I had thought that, and I said as much to Jeff Brendan Beefish today, and he because he's actually a sweetheart in real life, he very gently and very kindly was like, no. And then I thought maybe Brendan Blackfish had the will, and Jeff kind of poo-pooed on that too. So I'm kind of at a loss here.
To me, it makes sense to keep it with Yeah,
think
put on
Helen
Jeff
has
on
it.
that one. I think Helen and them have it because it makes one. They're going to a secure location. Like, who the hell is finding Greywater Watch besides people that want to, like, are allowed to find it?
Right.
Nobody. Not a soul is finding that
And
place.
Helen is Ned's most trusted friend. And I feel like Rob would want him to have it. But also I feel like narratively it makes sense for Helen to have it because we need Helen to have interaction with John.
Yeah.
We need Helen to drop that R+L=J bomb on John.
And imagine having the will to go on top of that and just like combine that together. And it's like, look at all your rights, John. Like, you have options. Which would you like to choose, the Iron Throne or the North?
Or this?
Yeah.
My only thing,
both.
so the thing is, there are parts of me that like want to agree with that, but the other part is, why would, like, Rob kind of knew that those two were at high risk of getting captured, which is why he gave them false orders. I would say he didn't give false orders to anyone else, but those people actually went with him to the Red Wedding. So
Yeah.
of course he's not really.
And didn't he send them separately?
Yes, on 2 different long ships. So that way their message was sure to get to Howland Reed. I think he just knew it was a high risk mission.
I'm gonna be annoying.
I think
here.
that
I'm gonna be
I think
annoying.
That's more important. Like, that's more of the reason he gave it to them.
So
how do we not know there are multiple copies?
Oh,
Because we don't. The only POV we have, Kat's not signing the document. She never signs it. She says who's in there. She does not sign it. That is our POV for this chapter.
right.
They're easy, especially a king's will. It's very plausible, and they're in the middle of war, that there'd be more than one copy for them to sign.
So my whole thing is like, I think the urgency, him sending, I don't want it. I think the urgency of making sure, like, splitting them on 2 different long ships, making sure that they get to, like, they have false orders, all that other stuff. It was a very important thing for him to retake the North. Like, they had to do that first and foremost. And Mage and choo motherfuckers. Mage and Glover.
Train by my house.
Mage and Glover were privy to information that was really crucial to kind of like retake. I don't know. I was super.
Oh, because my thing is like this will is already like prepared by somebody else. Like, they're not writing the will. All they gotta do is like, hey, this is what it says. Sign this copy. Okay, now here's another copy. Sign that copy. All right, now here you go. Here you go. And you go along your way. Take your copy. Thanks, guys. Bye. That's how
it
I
would be
done
smart
it.
to make more than
That's
one
smart.
copy.
That's the smart way to do it. But we know Rob's not Ariana. Oh,
Lyanna,
guys, fun whack. My name's Ariana, by the way. It's also Ara as a nickname, but throw that out there.
Lyanna Mormont is also kind of a reason I feel like it went with Mage to Howland Reed, because what she tells Stannis, we know no king but the king in the North whose name is Stark. It's like, okay, so you still think he's a king. Like, you still think the North has a kingship, even though the Boltons are wardens of the North and they're subject to the crown. So you, for some reason, still believe that the North is ruled by a king and not a Lord Bolton. So I feel like they're hoping, like, she knows of I feel like the little girl knows of the letter from her mom and she's waiting for the king of the North.
So
actually,
I'm gonna kind of poo-poo on that a little bit. We'll get to the super chat.
No, because I'll say it's really relevant to what we were talking. Just to give a little background to why it'd be possible for John to get Winterfell. I feel like this would be really relevant. So, there's a super chat. Liv Baxter. Would John even be able to be Lord in Winterfell if it came out that he's a Targaryen, regardless of what Rob says? I feel like there'd be issues.
He's still a Stark.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's Lyanna's son, and at the end of the day, that's still the next closest relative.
And there's a precedent for it, if you believe the Pact of Ice and Fire. There's like a precedent that never was fulfilled to have a Targaryen princess in the North.
Love that. Love that. Anyway, I was gonna poo-poo on what you said, Gray. So laughing at my own jokes like a cuck. So the theory that Mage must, like, either Mage or Galbert must have the will because Lyanna knows about it. The only thing I would say to that is the whole point of the Grand Northern Conspiracy is that like quite a few of these Northern lords know that Jon is supposed to be king. So I think that's news that was more spread word of mouth than with the actual documented will, because otherwise there would have to be like 20 different copies of the will floating around that these Northern lords saw. I think that they got their news from people they considered to be reliable narrators, and now they're just like moving to put this shit in motion.
Oh, so can we go through the checklist of like the signers real quick? Because I want to like eliminate suspects. Let's make this a quick game of guess who. So, yeah. People who I think obviously would not have it, or if they had it, it got destroyed by now. In my opinion, if these people had it, Edmure, Great John, and Reynold Westerling. If either of them had it, it's gone by now because they would have been thoroughly searched as prisoners. There's no way in hell they'd be able to keep it that long. Like it would have been found. So they automatically off the list. So that leaves Mage Galbert and Jason Mallister. So Jason Mallister could possibly have it. I feel like a lot of people rule him out really fast. And weren't they? Well, I'm trying to think where. Yeah, I feel like. Hold on. Where is Seaguard relative to where they were signing the document?
Seaguard is map.
Seaguard is on the. It's actually closest to the Iron Islands. Yeah, well, not closest, but it's pretty. Yeah, so it's going to be on the western side of the Riverlands. I'm trying to like in my head.
It's by Cape. It's off of the Iron Bay, the Irons Bay. So it's like the closest thing to Seaguard is the Twins. The Twins. It's pretty close to the Twins, but on the western side of the Twins.
Okay.
According to this map.
So not too far relatively. Yes.
I think that there's a chance that Rob might have sent. I think there's a chance he might have had this will sent off to River Run. If that makes sense. If he did, because that's the thing, you don't need Catelyn. Like, first of all, like the point of view chapter ends with Catelyn like bitching to herself about this fucking will. She's a witness to it. And then I think her next chapter is when they arrive at the Twins, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, a lot can happen in between then. For all we know, somebody brought that will to River Run. I know that Rob doesn't like to keep all of his eggs in one basket, like all of his valuables in one place, but that was at the time the most trusted place for it. That's where his wife was. That's where Brendan Blackfish was. Almost called him Brendan Beefish. Jesus. And if it made its way to Winterfell, I don't think it's a stretch to think that it was either hidden somewhere in River Run, or when Edmure was sent into River Run to speak with Blackfish and get him to, like give up the castle. If Edmure might have told him like, hey, take the will with you, it's not much of a stretch to think that Blackfish like put that shit in the wine bottle, put a cork over it, and swam his with coat it. And was like, and swam with it downriver, so that the will could be with Blackfish.
That'd be that'd be my next level. I really want it to be with Mage.
The
Galbert,
reason I don't
Howland
think it's
Reed, I need that.
The reason I don't think it's with the Blackfish is because when the Blackfish talks to Jamie at River Run, he says, all I know of this bastard, and he's talking about Jon Snow, he's like, all I know of him is that Cat mistrusted him, and it seems he was right. Yeah.
So there's a good chance. Here's the thing. Blackfish I'm sure he's picked up on the fact by now that Catelyn was like super, what's the word I'm looking for? Irrational. When it I'm sure he loves his niece, but Catelyn was really irrational about it. He has no reason to fucking dislike Jon Snow so strongly that he's like, I don't want to go to the wall.
He did. He said that the Lannisters. he said that she was right. It seems she was right to mistrust him because he feels that Jon has got his position as Lord Commander as a gift from the Lannisters.
I think that's a deflection. I think it's a deflection to distract away from.
I could see it just because, like, if for you're like, say you haven't never met somebody and like somebody that you trust and that you actually really like, really doesn't like that person. They're super adamant about not liking that person, and then something comes up that you're like, oh yeah, that person does seem sus, and nobody has shown you otherwise that you should actually like them. That's how I feel about the Black.
So I
did
think
your
that
daddy
he was
give him
deflecting.
that too?
Yeah. So I think that he was deflecting, and I think like it's such a stupid fucking irrational thought with like no actual like tangible thought process that checks out, that he thinks that like Jon Snow became like what does the Night's Watch have to do with the fucking Lannisters? Like, what are the Lannisters gonna do? Like, yes, we'll send you men, you know, like there's no reason. I think that he was deflecting to protect Jon so the Lannisters don't fucking suspect anything, because if he leads Jaime to believe, the Lannisters to believe that he thinks Jon is in league with the Lannisters don't see Jon as a threat. I think it was a deflection piece. I truly think it was a deflection.
Actually, that would make sense because the Castellan of Riverrun, and I think it's the Master at Arms, volunteer to go to the wall after it's taken by Jaime. So
they could have had the letter.
So the thought process is Edmure. So I think Brendan kind of already knew about the contents of the will. Maybe he read it. I don't know.
He probably knew because like if Cat and him ran into each other, she'd be like, "You would not believe what Robb did."
Well, if she ran into him, it would be as an undead zombie, because they set out for the Red Wedding. Before they got to Old Stones, he had already sent Jane back a couple times to Riverrun. So that was the last time he saw Jane before they got to Old Stones. Yeah, Jeff walked me through this morning too. I got poo-pooed on. Anyway, so no one has seen Brendan in between the making of the will and the Red Wedding. So I think that there's a possibility that when they signed the will at Old Stones, they sent it back to Riverrun with riders where it could be kept safe, because Robb was planning on going to war after that. So why not leave it at your best stronghold, which is Riverrun? So I had a brain fart. Anyway, so if Brendan saw the contents of it, he might be deflecting away from Jon. What's on top of it, which we will discuss this. But when Jaime talked to Edmure, made all those hollow threats to him, sent Tom a Seven Streams to go sing to Edmure where they could chitty chat with each other. Edmure went into Riverrun to meet with Brendan, which he gave him the heads up, like, hey, you need to escape. Also, they could have debriefed about a lot of shit. With that said, Brendan most definitely, if he doesn't have the will, he has really valuable fucking information. Yeah.
I personally still feel in my heart of hearts that Edmure just told them at that moment. So that's why they're like, oh, since, you two should definitely go to the wall. Like, hey.
Yep.
As a debrief, because narrowly, I just feel like it's, in my opinion, I think it's just better for Howland, Mage, and Galbert. Because I just feel like when they present the will, it would be like a whole thing. It's like the will, knowledge of Jon's parentage. Like it's just going to be like a big old info dump coming from the neck. And I feel
Don't
like
get me wrong. The Master at Arms gave like a really good, believable reason.
Yeah.
You know, like I've lived in Riverrun for 40 years. Where the fuck am I gonna go? Like I can't just be a hedge knight. I'm fucking old, man. I'm gonna go to the wall where I get fed. Yeah. So it's a believable reason, but you had the Master at Arms and the Captain of the Guard that were like, no, fuck this, I'm going to the wall. Those seem like some pretty trusted motherfuckers that are going off to the wall.
Oh yeah, those are people that they trust to probably inform Jon, but again, they would know the contents of it. But like we said, we don't know where this will is.
And just because they go to the wall doesn't mean they have to take the black.
And no matter where the will is, no matter where it is, we know that 6 people know what's in it. Know what it says. And those are all Northerners. They're all First Men. And I feel like they have, well, they're not all First Men, but
half of them are Northerners.
Yeah. But I would say that I lost my fucking train of thought. I'm sorry, I'm tired. I would say that I don't think we have to stay on it any longer about like
I was gonna say
where it is or who has, because it's common knowledge, I feel like. And I feel like that is shown pretty clearly in the Grand Northern Conspiracy.
Yep, we spent a lot of now that we spent a lot of time on who might have the will.
Yeah.
Can we get into, I think we've given enough exposition for getting into the Grand Northern Conspiracy, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I am ready to dive in. Oh wow, we just naturally followed this little outline that was made. Okay, so let's go to Camp Stannis. He I think it says in the books like a good 80, well, not in the books. It was, if you do the count, about 80% of Stannis's army is made up of Northern men. So you have the part. Let's talk about Rouge's forces right now in Winterfell versus Stannis's forces.
Boo, Rouge, boo. I'm just kidding. I'm sorry.
Let's talk about
Boo's man.
the northern houses and their armies and where they're at right now. So you have House Kerwin. Kerwin, Tallheart, and Hornwood are going to be a little confusing because all 3 of those houses have armies that were, for the most part, decimated, either at the Sack of Winterfell or at Duskendale. And whatever's left of that army that wasn't decimated is either in Winterfell or with Stannis Baratheon. Either way, a good portion of that army knows that Theon is not responsible for the Sack of Winterfell. And speaking of Theon, we'll get into this later, but I really want to touch down on, as I was getting into this, I am like super affirmed Theon's going to get away from Stannis without the need for execution, because anyway, there are too many people with it, like the whole reason.
There's a lot of people that know that he isn't responsible.
The whole reason they want him
he still turned cloak.
He did, but the whole reason they want his blood right then and there before anything else is because they think there was kinslaying. They think he sacked King's Landing. They think he did all this shit that he did not do. So that might buy him some time. Anyway, I rabbit trailed. So Curran was, what's up?
No, I was going to say in the comments, fun fact, I'm in New England, and our ex-quarterback is currently playing us right now, so my husband's a really passionate football fan, so if you guys hear some background, that is. So
I was like, who is he so aggressively talking to?
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are playing the New England Patriots, so our ex-boyfriend, Tom Brady, or our ex-quarterback, I should say. It's like a breakup. We're going through it, guys. Just let us know. Anyways, back to a relevant topic.
Before you move on, I just want to shout out Sandy Hartcorn for the $5 super chat. Just throwing this out for John, our sweet Targaryen princess in Winterfell. And once we get over to the armies, thank you for the super chat, Rui. Once we get over to the armies and we talk about the plot, I'll answer this question for you. Do you guys think Roose is aware that people are plotting? I'll just say that I do think he's aware. But
I think that's super relevant. I think that's super relevant right here, right now. Yeah, no, definitely he does. But the thing is, he knows they're more afraid of him than anything. However, I think he also banks on the fact that like the Northern Lords aren't really going to be able to do as much of shit if he defeats Stannis or if Stannis starts out.
And I think he wants to phrase and Manderley to kill each other.
I'm going to contest this real quick. I'm going to poo-poo on your idea, Alicia, for 30 seconds. So we know that Jaime Lannister, it's been, I think, a few months since he's ordered release of the prisoners from the Red Wedding. And Barbary Dustin says to one of the Freys, if pretty much the only reason why the Horseman is not ripping your entrails out and feeding you now is because at that point in time, they believe he's still holding the Great on. Once word gets out that those people have been set free, they outnumber the Freys and the Boltons. They like, there's nothing else. The thing that they fear is the loved ones they have remaining being killed. They lost those cards. Those cards are lost. Like, they are actively gone. So once that is found out that they do not have those hostages anymore, oh, it's a wrap. Like, Roose knows his days are numbered, and Jaime kind of fucked them over with that a little bit, but I give Jaime credit for that because I love Jaime.
Well, at the same time, though, there's like, unless Jaime has a crystal ball, Jaime was still doing like making the smartest play he possibly could.
Yeah.
So from Jaime's point of view, everything going on in Jaime's world, that wasn't dumb of Jaime. He just had no way of knowing.
Oh, no. I don't think it was dumb of Jaime. I think Jaime genuinely understood because, like, Jaime is still Tywin's
He understood
child,
the assignment.
in the sense of, like, they pointed out, like, those are really valuable hostages for us, more or less, because it's like, I feel like if the Freys are smart enough to know the reason why the Northerners have not completely turned on you guys yet is because you hold those people. Jaime just doesn't give a fuck about you guys at all. And he's thinking about what's best for him in his situation. So he's like, if I don't need it, you guys can't take care of this yourself, then you guys shouldn't have gotten this offer from my dad to begin with. So it's your fault. And then Tywin's gone. So, like, what is there really left to fear?
Something to think about with Jaime, too, is he has a lot of internal thoughts about how he fucking hates a lot of these people. So for him in his mind, he's like, I'm doing the world a justice if y'all get fucking wiped out, except for my aunt. So
I think Roose knows that he's kind of like painted himself into a box, because isn't Roose the one that orchestrated the whole Duskendale thing?
Yes.
Yep.
And then acts like he didn't, and isn't like Galbert Glover was like a part of that, right?
So Rouge, since y'all want to correct me.
Rouge.
Is he French, I guess?
No, I was thinking about that episode of King of the Hill with the Cajun cousins that called Bobby Robert. I think I got the vapors. No, so basically, since Clash of Kings, I think beginning of Clash of Kings, Roose started very meticulously depleting the northern forces while simultaneously
taking the north.
And also Roose went into battle, like commanded battles at least like twice or three times, hardly lost any men, because he sends other people to the forefront, like kind of like he did it. I think it was the Green Fork or the Blue Fork.
Like
there was this huge,
like he just did with the Freys and the Manderleys. Like, both are getting on my fucking
nerves. That's what he does.
Stannis.
But to lend to why I think Roose is aware that they're plotting, because he demanded everyone come watch his son marry fake Arya, and also he demanded hostages.
And none of
the Northern Lord showed up with fucking and Roose is a Northern Lord. He knows all about that whole tradition of going hunting, saving mouths to feed, all that other stuff. They came up with nothing but graybeards, and they brought I believe there are zero heirs from any house in there. It's just all graybeards. They didn't bring hostages. He knows. He fucking knows. But what's he gonna do about it right then and there but ride the waves?
As my boy Wyman said, God rest his soul, Tywin is not there to help.
I don't think he was.
I honestly, like, I say this a lot, but I really love Tywin. But Tywin is a bad mamma jamma, and he kept everybody at bay. And now he's gone. They'd have no card. Winter's here. There's barely any food. The snow's coming. Yeah, no, it's not looking good for Roose and Ramsay.
Y'all are fucked. Can we?
The North remembers.
Since you brought Wyman Manderley up, can we talk about Wyman Manderley?
Oh,
please?
yes. I love
Okay.
one messy ass, gossipy, too fat
Can we
to sit no
say,
more.
like, the
Yes.
best lines, like some of the best lines in the books?
He does. What
like
is it?
when Small Walder, Little
Little
Walder
Walder.
gets killed and he's like, such a shame, how old was he? And someone's like, he was 9 on his last name day, and he's like, a pity. But he would have grown up to be a Frey. Like, probably all for the better or
Mayhaps
something.
it was a good thing.
Yeah. A blessing in disguise.
And
He
like
would've grown
that
up-
fucking line got like 7 people murdered.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
like
I know.
he's all like, can you imagine his like he's all big too fat? Like he has to get carried in the palanquin and he's like rolling on the floor of Winterfell, like bleeding.
One of his chins is cut open.
It's like-
Do you know what it reminds me of? Have you ever seen The Rescuers Down Under?
Yes.
Do you remember in the very beginning where that grasshopper is feeding them pea soup?
It's been a very long time since I've seen the
Okay,
movie.
never mind. There's a part where like there's this like really quick grasshopper waiter and like they get up really fast and he like falls down and all this pea soup spills everywhere and he's on his back like going like this. And that's exactly what I think of when I think of Wyman and his chin being
Just like
cut
flailing
open.
around on the ground.
Yeah.
when he talked to Davos, there was like a really interesting part where he's like, I don't even trust my own maester. He was like, my maester is like, I can't forget that my maester is a Lannister from Lannisport. And it's funny because Barbara Dustin has the same kind of conversation about the maesters with Theon.
Ooh, and in Stannis' camp, they also have an issue, and the reason why the Karstarks get caught up, besides obviously Allie Karstark, Alice, girl, the A, yeah,
Alice Karstark,
the one who marries the Magnarch, then her. Well, besides snitching on Arnulf, they definitely caught on to it because of the Raven that's from the Maester. So clearly, they're not a group to be trusted for a good reason.
So shout out to Gray for trying to be sneaky because I already know next episode you're going to suggest the Maesters.
I'm
and
not.
If you throw in, yes, you are. Yes,
No.
you are. And
No,
if
I
you throw in just enough time, like that's suspicious. That's weird about the Maesters doing shit. People are going to, I commend you. That was sneaky as fuck.
I
but
was
I
not
see
going to
you,
recommend
bitch.
the Maesters. I be wanting the Golden Company.
I'm gonna do it.
But I was saying, I feel like that's George's way to show you that these people are working together, like these little subtleties where Lord Wyman's questioning his maester and she's questioning her maester. But I feel like there's a lot of connections between her and Lord Wyman. Me and Ara were talking about it before the stream where...
Oh, really? Because me and Ara were talking about things before the stream too. So,
well, you were not. Anyway,
I'm like, extra Christmases, yay!
Anyway, so Wex tells Wyman Manderley that Bran and Rickon are alive.
Yeah.
And the whole conversation between Theon and Barbara Dustin that happens in the crypts, she's looking at the swords that are missing. She specifically says about the missing swords.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder, is that confirmation that she's working with Wyman Manderley?
Well,
Yes.
we do see that somebody made some interesting snowmen right around this time.
Oh,
in
yeah.
Winterfell.
Get into the snowman theory.
So we have 4 snowmen that pop up. One is our lady Barbara Dustin. One is Lord Too Fat to Sit a Horse, aka Wyman Manderley. We have one armed. I forgot his first name. I think it's Har or something. Stout. Was it Harwin? Harlan?
It don't matter.
Don't matter. But anyways, and Mr. Horsebane Umber. And I believe it was Umber and Stout that were seen talking earlier.
Theon
Before
observed that they were whispering to each other at breakfast.
Yep, and Stout is a bannerman. Oh, sorry, bannerman to Barbary, and they're known to be allies. So just a little whisper here, whisper there, and down to the crypt she goes.
Yeah.
It was right after that event. It might have been within the same chapter. I don't remember off the top of my head, but she does say something about the swords very much in passing, and then she goes into this whole spiel about how much she hates Ned Stark and she hates the Starks and da 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 da. And every time I refresh myself on this, even throughout the years, every time people talk about Barbary Dustin down in the crypts, I think the phrase that is commonly used is "the lady doth protest too much." So I think that she knew good, and because she's smart, she knew good and damn well that Theon was going to scurry over to the Boltons and be like, hey, I went down there with Barbary. So she covered her fucking ass about why she would want to go down there.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, and that's the thing too, when you really stop to think about it, it's like, bitch, you really went down to the crypts so that you could gloat over a statue because you're never going to let those bones rest next to Ned's statue?
And to pay respects to Brandon.
That's true. Yeah, that's
a nice little cover up. But I was actually talking about it in the comments in our last video with Ashley and Nath, and when we were getting super excited and talking over each other, we missed when Alicia said it as well about how Barbary does not like the Boltons because a certain little bastard of
because of Ramsay.
Ramsay is most likely responsible for the death of Domeric, who is Roose Bolton's firstborn legitimate child at least, and is the nephew to Barbry's sister. Is Barbry's sister's son, who are now both dead.
And Danella, that's hers. Yeah, Lady Danella.
Yeah,
Lady Danella's fingers. I mean, she says that. She's don't what I don't know the exact quote, but she says something about we haven't forgotten about Lady Danella eating her fingers or something.
She's very bold in front of that was her way of basically letting the Boltons know
that's
I'm
after
salty too without
that's after the crypts, right?
Yes.
Yeah. She got mad bold after that because I think that she's like, oh, wait, real
Well, she even says within the crypts, if I wanted to, I can make Roose's life very inconvenient. And I think those were gentle words because I don't think she's the kind of person to toot her own horn. I think she could definitely cause absolute chaos for Roose. So she says, he knows this and he keeps me sweet. And she never calls him Lord. She just calls him Roose. She's very first name basis with him. So I think that was her way of...
Right. Fucking.
No,
I'm just kidding.
That's my job to throw out those
to go from Brandon to Roose Bolton.
Maybe she makes more noises in bed than her sister does.
But it's not really for Barbary, I don't think that it's Roose that
Ramsay.
It's Ramsay. It's not House Bolton altogether. It's not because, I'm so loyal to House Stark, because we know she's not really loyal to House Stark. And we know it is true that she does not like House Stark, because when Robb calls his banners, she sends a little token.
And then she spies on him.
Yeah.
Actually, hold on. I got a question for you guys. Do you think it's House Stark as a whole, or it's solely just Ned? Because Robb is the offspring of Ned and Cat. Cat, she does not like Cat. Because Cat stole Brandon to her. In her eyes, Cat stole Brandon from her and then eventually stole Ned, who was her backup option. Because she said, I thought that I would at least got Ned, but she snagged him up too.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
So why would she help?
So sitting Ned's bastard on the throne of Winter might actually delight her if she's that salty with Catelyn.
Yeah, because think about it,
I'd be that petty in my
Brandon
mind too.
and then Ned from her, so she's like, bitch, you got both my options.
That reminds me of that meme with that lady all dressed in red, and she's showing up to my husband's funeral, and she's all dressed in this red coat, red sunglasses, and she's just she's 100 years old. That's Barbary Dustin.
Yeah.
I think that she doesn't mind Rouge, but at the same time, I think like she sees way more of a benefit sticking Jon or another Stark on the throne, like taking back the North for the Starks. For a couple of reasons. The Starks are just, other than the war that they just got thwarted into, Catelyn. So they're I mean, the Little said it himself, like it's just more peaceful fucking times with Roose. With even if Ramsay wasn't a factor, even like Roose had like a somewhat agreeable but still cruel air. You know, the Boltons are always going to have a tenuous at best hold over the North. It's always going to be chaotic. There's always going to be that like low cunning plotting. Who says they're going to be as good of stewards of the North? I don't know if they care about their people as much. Like one of the reasons the Starks are so great is because they care about their people.
Well,
so their people prosper.
they clearly don't. They killed off a bunch of other Northerners for their own gain. So like, they don't forget. The North remembers. Like,
right.
So even if you took Ramsay out of the equation, it'd be what, Fat Walda.
So I think in the long run, no matter how you look at it, it just does not benefit Barbary to keep the Boltons in power in the long run. No. So
I just think Ramsay was the, like, if they were on the fence about Roose Bolton, if any of them were on the fence, I feel like Ramsay was that determining factor. Like, fuck him. Like, Roose, as awful as he is like politically minded. He is smart. Ramsay is a psychopath, like straight up homicidal psychopath.
Can we talk about too how he is like martially fucking incompetent when it comes down to it?
Like, that's why I don't think like when it comes to like actual like battle, like a strategic battle, like you think I do not believe Ramsay is going to be more strategic in a battlefield against Stannis Baratheon.
Right.
Even though Robb was a green boy and he had a lot of it, like he was still like tactically he proved himself. Ramsay has not done a single thing to prove that he's only he's good at is like hunting shit down. So like,
and deception.
The first issue with Ramsay would have to listen to other people because that's what Robb did. Robb took a lot of counsel and a lot of advice to help him form his. Ramsay's not going to do that. Ramsay's going to do what Ramsay wants to do when Ramsay wants to do it. So Ramsay's going to get wiped out pretty fast.
Do you think Ramsay kills Roose first?
Like in the show?
Yeah.
Yes. I think that
yes.
Roose will come to his end because of Ramsay, but can we talk about that line where Roose talks about how Ramsay fights? He just shades the fuck out of his own son. Talking about how he just like holds a sword and hacks like a butcher.
Because he wasn't trained. Like it's like he doesn't. He really
his training was from Reek.
Like,
but still, he's just not martially inclined, so he's kind of a bumbling fool. Yeah, so that's like, even if Ramsay wrote the pink letter, that motherfucker is lying his ass off about a few things. Like, if he wrote it, he indeed caught Mance at the very least, like, or one of the washerwomen. It's not a stretch to think he'd get at least one washerwoman and she'd know all this shit. But, you know, like, he's definitely lying about 7 days of battle. No.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Well, so we were going to say, I remember my thought. No, I was going to say, I'm not sure if we want to get to here real quick. Alicia and I were talking about the washerwomen, actually.
Yes.
Go.
You know, get into it, girl.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Get into
it. Yay. Okay, so I noticed this a few years ago. I shared how excited I was with a friend because I actually discovered something on my own. And then this friend was like, oh yeah, you didn't know about this theory? So it's not my theory, but I did notice it anyway. So
no, it's your theory today because in my opinion, I never heard of it and it's not that popular. And I'm gonna be honest,
of it together. We did. It's our
yes,
theory.
We did.
Our theory.
I'm going to be honest. I've been paying attention to the theories and stuff in the fandom for a long time now, and I had not come across this one. At least the way we interpreted it, I should say.
So I theorized that one of the washerwomen, Rowan, is actually Mors Umber's daughter that was taken away by the wildlings some years ago. My reasoning behind that is just the way that she speaks to Theon is a little more hostile than the other spear wives. And what's on top of it, she speaks about the Starks with reverence, which is very odd for a spear wife from beyond the wall. There are a couple other different reasons, but those are like my main two right there. With that said, I don't know if she would be unrecognizable to her family at this point, but her uncle Crowfoot,
Horsbane's inside. Yeah.
Yep. Hothor?
Yes, Hothor.
Horsebane. I hate using that word. Anyway, so Horsebane is inside. So she might have actually discussed what they were doing there with him. It would also, I do believe that obviously there are people in communication with Mors Umber who's just outside the gates, because it's awfully Mors Umber has been out there the whole time, but at the same time, it's kind of awfully convenient that around the same moment that the washerwomen decided, yeah, we're doing this, we're getting fake Arya out right now, Mors Umber just so happened to be there to collect Theon and Jane Poole. But anyway, I think that Rowan is Mors Umber's daughter that was taken off by the wildlings, and I think she is she's in cahoots with a lot of people, but I do think that the washerwomen and Mors Umber, at the very least, the Umbers are doing shit together. Yeah.
And to further expound on that a little bit, I think that obviously we know Mors Umber is currently with Stannis' camp. Stannis is the one who sets to Theon that you're lucky that he was there to come grab you guys, because Ramsay would have got you back within minutes, essentially, if he wasn't already there waiting for you. Yep. So it's why would he be there waiting? But let's not forget, Mance was glamored on Stannis and Mel's behalf. So Stannis, I'm assuming, is very well aware of what Mance Rayder is doing, and I'm pretty positive, because one of the biggest things is they want to get Arya back, because he knows, well, one, that's a great bargaining chip for him, because for Stannis, that is, because now he holds this heir to Winterfell, if you will. But then he also gets the Northern Lords on his side, because now he's also getting Theon on top of that. And they want him. They want Theon's blood, because obviously they don't know the information that we know. Or, well, some of the other people do know about Theon not fully being as treacherous as they think he is, but it doesn't matter. They still want him.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons we believe that Rowan was in communication with the Umbers is because, let's just say Mors Umber had no idea that they were going to jump, and he did just so happen to be there at the same time. What their plan was to literally kind of escape from the battlements of Winterfell. Unless they knew somebody was going to be there to collect them and help them with fucking horses, where did they think they were going to go by the time it was discovered Jane was missing? On foot during a storm. So they had to have known. Yeah, they had to have known someone was going to be there right outside the gates waiting for them. But anyway, yes, I truly believe that one of the washerwomen, Rowan, is Mors Umber's daughter.
I love that theory. I give it 10 out of 10. I never heard it before.
Oh.
Okay, so all right, we're good. We're good, Alicia.
Yay!
It's your theory. It's your theory, Alicia.
I did it.
Can we answer this super chat, Will, from Rui? Thank you for the super chat. Yeah. Will the North have enough food for winter? I wanted to talk about this because they're all pent up in Winterfell, and as the snowstorms are coming in, shit's getting worse and worse and worse. And they're saying oh, this is just an autumn's kiss. This is nothing to what winter is really. So I do not think they'll have enough food for winter.
And then most people are gone during the last harvest.
Yeah, what's on top of it? A huge theme, which we can segue into the Rat King and Northern traditions, and guess right, segue into a big theme going into Winds of Winter is going to be how common cannibalism is, desperation. With that said, I don't think there will be as much cannibalism if there's food to eat in the North. Speaking of cannibalism, let's talk about the Rat King and
The rat cook.
the rat whatever the rat cook, the rat cook king.
I was gonna
and
say what my boy Wyman says. What do you say?
Oh.
Bard, play the rat cook on his
I
way
like
out.
what Josh. I like what Josh said. Survive the winter on nothing but Frey pies.
Yes.
Ugh, there's no way they taste good. I'm sorry, like I love Wyman Manderley, but he is a messy, nasty ass
I have to
bitch.
disagree with you. Actually, did you ever watch Sweeney Todd?
Yes.
No, the meat pies, secret ingredient, and everybody loved Mrs. Lovett's meat pies.
Okay, but we're talking about people that look like fucking ferrets and weasels. You
Okay,
know they don't bathe.
and those were dirty Londoners that didn't bathe, so like, or brush their teeth. No offense to anybody in the UK. This is like, I know you guys are good now, but back then.
So some of the common things that happen in the North are cannibalism in winter. The
Yes.
gray beards going out to die, which is what we have going on right now with all the gray beards coming to Winterfell to fight with Rouge. But the Northerners are all mostly first men. They all worship the old gods. And there are these ancient laws, these sacred laws that they hold above everything else. And guess right is one of them. So the Red Wedding was the ultimate breaking of guest right because Robb had salt and bread under Walder Frey's roof. So that means Walder Frey is supposed to protect him. And Walder Frey killed him instead. So in a like reverse example of that, we have what Wyman Manderley does to Rhaegar,
Aenys, and Simon, Alvin, and Theodore.
Yeah.
Hey, it tracks with them looking like fucking rodents. So.
It does.
What is it? Manderley was like, this worm that wears the name of a dragon.
Yeah.
When he's talking about Rhaegar. The worm that wears the name of the dragon. So Ramsay's wedding happens. And Wyman Manderley shows up with pies.
He furnishes a bunch of food.
Oh, can we back up a little bit actually and get into like a little bit about the rat cook and like how Wyman differed from the red wedding host?
I think that's important to touch down on.
So brief summary about the rat cook. We first hear this story from Bran when he's in the Night Fort where the rat cook story takes place. So wait, no, just kidding. No, it doesn't. Anyways,
yeah, it does.
Oh, okay. All right. I don't know why I'm second guessing myself.
It was the Night Fort. A little
more confident, but yeah, it's at the Night Fort, and essentially a first man, king, lord, if you will. His I forgot why he has beef with this Andal King, but long story short,
it doesn't tell you.
The Andal King did something dirty to him and he didn't like it, but the king and the king's son went to his house and he's like, oh, have my food and my salt, have some food, blah, blah, blah. You guys are guests. But he ends up killing the son and then cooking him into a pie and feeding it to the father. So he essentially, if you're a fan of South Park, he Scott Tenorman's, in reverse, the Andal King's son into a pie. And then he ends up getting turned into a big giant white rat that is forced to eat his own young for the rest of his little rat life. But the reason why he was turned into a rat, not because he killed the host, not because he fed him his own sons. It's because he killed a guest under his roof, and the gods will simply not allow that. So in order to get rid of guest right, you have to give a gift.
Can I ask an earnest question?
Yes, ma'am.
In your headcanon, in y'all's headcanon, do y'all as well imagine this giant white rat with the chef's hat just flopping around?
Like
it's
Ratatouille?
scurrying
Yeah.
around?
Yeah,
I just need to know if I'm the only one.
No,
Yeah, no, it's
Because
like,
I can't.
imagine too.
Kind of
Yeah.
like every time in my head, I imagine Victorian. It's with this big stupid helmet. It's never his actual face. I don't have a headcanon of what this motherfucker looks like. Just him in the armor and the anyway.
Oh, mine is just like a white version of Ratatouille, but like the size of a New York street rat with a hat on.
Rodents of an unusual size.
So yeah,
Princess
mix
Bride
Ratatouille with like New York rats and just make it white. That's how I imagine the rat cook in my head.
So old Nan had basically told Bran and John and the other kids, a man has a right to vengeance, but killing a guest under your own roof is not forgivable. With that said, like you were saying, Ara, Wyman would definitely premeditated this shit because he kind of hinted at it with Davos during the welcoming feast for Willis.
Yes.
Yeah, his son, because Wendell died. Stupid fucking name, by the way. So
like
he was
W.
basically like, do they do like guest gifts in the South to like basically signal the end of guest right, blah blah blah. Yep. So he gave the three phrase Rhaegar, Fuckface McGee, and Simon. What was the name of it doesn't matter.
It's Aenys. It's
Aenys. Okay. He gave them palfreys as a departure gift. And then he most certainly had them killed right after that. They
Very
departed.
openly and loudly.
Yes.
He's like, I just imagine that scene like, I now present to you each a horse as your guest gift. I, Wyman Manderly, am giving each of these men, says their full government name, a horse for a gift. I just want everybody heard that. I'm doing that. That's their gift from me.
Do you think he did it? Do you think when he was loud about it, he was very robotic and monotone? Or do you think he was like an actor, a thespian?
He's a thespian. He just gave us a long, like, where he just repeated himself multiple times, saying that he's giving them the
rolled
gift.
His R's and shit.
Because there was like what he's like, I was very clear about my intentions before I left.
Yeah. And
so
I think
like he's very one for the dramatics. I feel like he maybe had a song going in the background.
Once he got to Winterfell, I can't think of a single time since he arrived at Winterfell where fucks were given by Wyman Manderly. So I mean, he supposedly got super drunk. Parts of me wonder, like, he's kind of, I don't know if he had to be that drunk to really be enjoying himself that much. So he furnished all this food and wine, and Barbary made sure to tell Theon, like, Roose is watching him closely. Like, Roose doesn't drink from anything unless he watches Wyman drink from the same cask. He doesn't eat anything Wyman brought unless he watches Wyman eat it. But Wyman brought these huge, like the size of a wheel, pies. And meat pies, 3 of them. And he made sure to himself portion up pieces of this pie to the Rouges and the Freys. And who was it that was Aenys' father?
Hostine.
I
believe
like
Hostine. Hostine's Rhaegar's daddy.
That's right. Wasn't Aenys killed leaving Winterfell?
Oh, was it Aenys Rhaegar's dad?
I miss it.
Yeah.
I'm mixing it up. Then it's Theodore. They're the chipmunks. So the chipmunks are at it doesn't matter. They're dead. They're pies. It doesn't matter. We're moving past.
Yeah,
it.
so many names. They make you memorize and memorize.
No, who Walder Frey to have that many offspring? First of all, but
he has 27 natural sons and daughters, I believe, and I think like only 6 bastards somehow. And it's the whole thing is just fucking confusing. I hate the phrase so much. I try to ignore them, but
definitely Simon. Jared. It's Jared. Thank you.
Jared.
Thank you.
But I think
it's did die though, but
yeah, he did. Because of Moore's Umber and his holes.
I have a question. Wyman Manderley, when he serves, so Wyman Manderley serves the Freys and the pies.
Yeah.
And he requests the rat cook to be sung. But he also requested Brave Danny Flint to be sung. Why?
Oh, because he was like basically trying to be like, I know shit. Haha, I just fed you your fucking sons. Like also
Oh, no, finish.
I think that was his way of being like, not that he wanted the ending to be the same, but the whole thing about Danny Flint was pretending to be someone that she was not. That was his way of very, very brazenly being like, I know that's not the real Arya Stark. What's on top of it, Arya Stark visited White Harbor twice with her father. You have to remember, visitations are not like a couple hours or a day. They had to be there for at least a couple of weeks. Yeah. Wyman knows what this little girl looks like, whether she's aged, a couple of years or not.
I thought
not even that long. It's been like maybe 1 to 2 years max.
Mm-hmm. I thought the same, and that's another Night Fort like story. Mm-hmm. Like these are all Night Fort stories. So I wonder if any more of these Night Fort stories, like Simeon Star Eyes, the thing that came in the night, are they gonna be replayed in Winterfell? Yes. And when I hear the thing that came in the night, I think of the Hooded Man in Winterfell.
Oh, can we get into that? Because now I'm convinced it's Harwin.
Yes, which is what I was advocating for that last week, because y'all were like,
so in my brain, I forgot the Hooded Man was a separate entity. So I was thinking the Hooded Man's a person that was just like kind of like getting a lot of kills off, like on a kill streak in Winterfell. Mm-hmm. I think the kill streak was still Theon, but I think the Hooded Man is a separate person.
Really? You think Theon did it?
Well, not everybody. I still think Big Walder killed Little Walder wholeheartedly. Yes. Oh, wholeheartedly believe that. But I think Theon might have got a couple of those in there, because I really think he might have had a weird psychotic break.
I think it was the washerwomen.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
Because like off the top of my head, I can't remember exactly, but it was almost as if they were killed because they saw something. And, like, obviously there are a couple of deaths that don't fall under that category. I do think that Big Walder killed Little Walder, but I mean, no love lost there, because Little Walder was a little fucking psychopath. And
no, it's Big Walder that's the bad one.
Little Walder, because he's Little Walder is the older of the two. Big Walder is the younger. Little Walder was the one that was really, really taking the Ramsay's ways.
Oh,
which is why some people would find it shocking that Big Walder is a little more sympathetic to people. He's still like, he's not this good little kid, but he's not really into Ramsay's shit. Gotcha. He's just kind of like, ugh, but with that said, the Hooded Man.
Isn't he? Doesn't he say
Little Walder is the younger one, but he's physically bigger?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't he say some shit like,
about that.
Yeah, they're dead, about the phrase? Like, yeah, they're dead. He killed them. That's what I would have done.
Yep.
And they're like his own people.
Yep.
Like, fuck them.
Yeah, because the line of succession, they're just like, at that point, the phrase really don't treat each other like family. They're like, all right, you're just my competition at the end of the day.
And they're like 52nd in line for the fucking twins or some shit like that. Like the best chance they have. Because here's the thing, like just once Walder Frey dies, like Walder Sr., there's no guarantee that the next Lord is actually going to take care of all those Freys like Walder Frey did.
Oh, there's going to be a whole civil war between the Freys.
Yeah,
it's going to be a shit show.
Yet another way that the rats are going to eat themselves. So there's going to, assuming that the Brotherhood Without Banners doesn't do a lot of that work for the Freys, it's going to be a shit show. But the Hooded Man, I do think it's Harwin. I think there's been enough time for Harwin to, because it's suggested that Harwin was in the cave judging Brienne when she woke up from her injuries. Because it said something about he was holding Oathkeeper and his accent was frosted with like the accents of the North or something like that. So it insinuates that it's Harwin. Honestly, I think that when Lady Stoneheart, and she did, got word that Arya Stark was going to marry Ramsay Bolton, she had to send someone up there. And it makes sense that it would be Harwin because he knows the land. He knows what Arya looks like. He knows Winterfell, and he's a damn good rider. He's even better than Arya is because his father was master of horse. So I think it's very plausible that he would have gotten up to Winterfell very quickly in time for the wedding. With that said, he had to be a newcomer because it was a surprise when he saw Theon.
Yeah.
Like, it was a surprise, whereas Theon gave Jane away in the wedding, and Theon had been sitting up at the dais during the wedding feast. Well, near the dais, at least.
Yeah. And most people in the North know that Theon's kind of been rolling around with the Boltons as Ramsay's pet.
Right. The only wrench in those gears for me is it talks about how Theon and the Hooded Man met eyes with one another. Parts of me are like, I'm pretty sure he would recognize Harwin unless he's so like in another fucking world, so gone. But then another part of me is like, well, unless it had a vagina and tits, you know, Theon didn't really bother with anyone he considered lowly. He barely bothered with Jon Snow.
I was gonna say Theon. I know, obviously, he obviously went out riding at some points, but his big thing was more so archery.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see him not really being super familiar with those in the stables compared to Arya.
Mm-hmm.
None of that. Arya seems to be like those people that just doesn't forget faces.
Well, Arya's whole thing is she has a lot of her father in her, in the sense that like
She'll remember
she
every
makes
little
friends.
face.
Yeah, she goes out of her way to make friends with Micah the butcher's boy. You know, like she makes friends with servants. She loves that.
Isn't it her chapter where she's like, isn't she the one that tells us like how her dad would sit with a different person, like a different table?
Yep.
Because don't ask these people to die for you if you don't know them or some shit like that.
Exactly.
I think she explains that. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yep.
So I could see why he may not have like, because figure there's a lot of staff at Winterfell, and maybe he knew because he's the master of horse's son. They probably knew like the master of horse, but maybe not necessarily his son that well, or maybe seen him a couple times in passing. But Theon's not the brightest tool in the bunch, so he probably was just like, eh.
I think he definitely, like, it's not like he was above talking to commoners, but usually those commoners were very beautiful women that he found his way into their bed. You know, so I can see him. Yeah, so I can see him thinking he's too good to even pay attention to faces of servants. Yeah. So it makes sense to me that it would be Harwin.
Yeah, and then with the Lady Stoneheart and the Brotherhood, I feel like she's like since she's taken control, I feel like Harwin obviously being one. I do think that, you know, we talked about it a little bit in like our Sansa video and a couple other videos with the Veil, but about Guy, the archer, being sent by Stoneheart and the rest of them to the Veil to kind of scope out Sansa. Well, not Sansa, I'm sorry, but to like, well, actually, to just go to the tourney, see what's going on over there, because obviously Littlefinger just took her sister's seat, and her sister just miraculously turned up dead, and she probably knows that he had something to do with the Ned's downfall, so she'll probably want him too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think that's how she'll find out maybe about Sansa, and then, all right, bringing that back to the Grey Northern Conspiracy, I think the Brotherhood without banners may have a part to play.
Oh, for sure.
Speaking of that, you guys' theory. Oh, you weren't finished? Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say I think that they're gonna help the captives from the Red Wedding if they haven't already, because Tom Evans was there when Jaime gave the order. So I think he's gonna help them get along their way back north.
I was just about to ask you guys about Tom O'Sevens, because Alicia was saying that her thought was that the letter went back to River Run, Rob's letter. And I'm not going to get carried away on Rob's letter, but I think it would be a very interesting move for Tom O'Sevens to somehow be privy to that letter, steal that letter or something like that, and get back with the Brotherhood, and they take that letter where it needs to go. I don't know. That's like an alternative of if it's
so.
Not-
how are we feeling? How are we thinking that a resurrected Stoneheart feels about that will?
Different.
Well, she does have Rob's crown. We know that she's holding it to put on somebody.
I think she has it because that was her son's crown, and it's the only thing she has left of him.
Well, that too. But
But
I
it
think
can double. Yeah, it can double as that.
I think her game plan is if the rumors were true, which they're obviously not, that it was Arya being wed to Ramsay, I think she would want to obviously, I mean, her daughter was marrying the heir, but she wouldn't be the real power. So I think she would do like kind of pull a Olenna where it's like, yeah, I'm just gonna get rid of him. And then
she wants revenge for the Red Wedding.
yeah.
The best revenge she can get is to fucking let the Northerner, like to let the Northerners know, yeah, my son left a will. Yeah, this fucking guy at the wall that I really don't like, it's him. But I mean, I feel like once you die, I don't know.
She's most definitely not letting shit go. Are you kidding me? It's the opposite of.
I mean,
that bitch turned into a Scorpio.
But her anger is directed usually at the right people. Even though she's angry at Brienne, she has like the right to be angry at Brienne as far as she can see it, because as far as she sees is, you're with this motherfucker, you got a Lannister sword on, you were supposed to do this for me, like what are you doing?
I think she did take the time to stop and discern, because she's like, okay, you want to prove your what? Go get Jaime. Go get him. Bring him back here. And I think she was running the risk that, I think she knew Brienne was going to come back, but she was running the risk that like Brienne would just like take off after that. So she can take the time to stop and discern. But, you know, my whole thing is like, I'm just at a point where I just don't trust Catelyn right now. I don't trust her motivations. It's a little, I don't want to say it's sus. It's just ambiguous at the moment.
Yeah. And she is lingering near the neck.
Yes.
But I honestly feel like that's because it's the closest to the north. And again, if the rumor, like I think her moving herself closer to position to like, to where the rumors that at least one of her children may be alive is why she would be lingering in that area. Because figure if they like Harwin comes back and is like, oh no, it is her, she's moving them north immediately to back up the daughter.
We got a super chat that is extremely relevant to what we're talking about right now, from Sam Huel. $20 super chat. It says, do you think Lady Stoneheart could want revenge for the red wedding so hard that she would crown Jon Snow to achieve her ends?
I do.
I don't know. I'm not saying like, no, I don't agree. I'm saying like, oh.
If all else fails, if she is literally completely out of zero options, meaning none, to her knowledge, none of her children are alive. They are all absolutely dead and gone, and there's not a single droplet of her Stark procreation left, then yes. That's the exact caveat in my opinion, because I really, if she knows, even if she knows Sansa's alive, that changes everything.
Yeah.
Actually, Sansa changes everything. Once they find out Sansa's like chilling in the Vale and Tyrion is presumed dead.
Oh, yeah.
That throws a monkey wrench in everybody's plans, because it's like, yeah, Rickon, like obviously, we kind of touched on it, but Wyman Manderly's big thing is for Davos to go get Rickon, because Rickon is the contender that he wants in place. People that are privy to of Rob's will, they're aiming more so for Jon. However, Sansa is the wild card, I feel like, in this whole situation.
I feel like in Rob's will, he specifically excluded her.
Mm-hmm. But at this point, it would kind of be nullified because
Tyrion's
gone and she's unmarried, so it's just her.
He might not have put because my sister married a Lannister. He might have just barred Sansa from. I
think the Northern Lords would still be like, well, rather than try to, because again, we have to remember, Jon has to become legitimized and like pretty much have his vows like dissolved. He died, so he kind of like has a nice loophole there with his vows, but Like
it's
at the
a
end of the
loophole
day,
that was in the show, and I think it's a legitimate loophole.
his watch literally ended. He dies. It's till your death.
Mhm.
He died, so he
Yeah.
can go if he wants. But I feel like Sansa's the easier pull and rally point because she is the known true-born daughter of Ned and Catelyn. More so than because that was Littlefinger's big thing. He's like when he was said in this, I can't believe I'm giving them credit, but Littlefinger's point in the show, and he's like, should they be rallying around some bastard born in Dorne or the true-born daughter of Ned and Catelyn Stark? So I feel like that would be a very big contention point.
I do too, but I feel like the North might have a hard time accepting Sansa, because she isn't very northern. Like she's very southern. Like when she moves to the south, she totally adapts like the southern culture, like her hairstyle, dresses, gowns, whatever. Yes.
The biggest pull for Jon to be king in the North, they're just going to go with the will. They're not really going to try to take a whole lot of time to deliberate it. Plus, will or no will, if they decide as Northern Lords they want to crown him, he's king now. The biggest pull for him is he is a competent, strong leader.
Proven.
And winter is coming.
Yeah.
They're in for a harsh winter and they know it. So sitting Sansa on the throne or sitting Rickon on the throne sounds all well and good in hindsight. However, they have a winter to survive before they can think about the future repercussions of that. They're just trying to survive to the spring.
Yeah.
And this is like whether or not they think the the others are coming or not. It's like facts, harsh winter is coming. Their best bet really is Jon, logistically.
Oh, I agree, but I just feel like not everybody's privy to the will.
Right.
Like we have obviously like I feel like the Mormonts and the Glovers they easily can relay that information to other members of the North. Like it's very
the Mallisters. Well, that's Riverlands, but
yeah, like within like Winterfell area right now, like those people, I feel like most of them they don't know. Like they're banking on the Rickon, and if Bran, their wild card. Actually, could you talk about wait? At least I'll get to your point. Then I want to talk about Bran.
Oh, I was thinking it was a good way to segue or a good time to segue over into the Northerners and Stannis's camp because we haven't touched down on that a whole lot. Speaking of the Mormonts, Alysanne,
yeah.
Alysanne is currently with Stannis. She's en route to wherever with Jane Westerling, but anyway, she's en route.
Asha.
She was watching over Asha. When she talks to Asha about her family, she says like, we're all girls. We were 5 sisters. Daisy was murdered. Lyanna's back at Bear Island. And she says very matter-of-factly her other 2 sisters, Lyra and Janelle. Janelle. They're like, she's there with my mother. Just very matter-of-fact. Very casual. So that leads me to believe that she's had very recent contact with her mother to be able to say that. Plus, like, unless their mother was settled in, I can't think of any other reason that Janelle and Lyra would leave their youngest sister on Bear Island to be the steward there. So they're doing something important with Mage right now. With that said, I think that Alysanne knows about the will. She knows about the crowning of Robb. I think it's one of the reasons that not that Deepwood Motte is that far from Bear Island, but I think it's one of the reasons she started making immediate moves to remove the Greyjoys from Deepwood Motte.
Actually, can we get into that for a second? Because I do believe that Galbert and Mage are both chilling in Greywater Watch, as we mentioned earlier. But I believe, obviously, as the Lord of Deepwood Motte, you would know that place more intimately than everybody else. And I believe it's in Stannis or Asha, like one of them is like repeating it or something like that, about how she was strategically placed. Like, had she not been where she was located, I think she was like hiding in some like caverns or something like that. Like she was hiding in a really secretive and fishing. Like they were hiding in a very discreet location that it seemed like they had to have inside knowledge. And even though like there's rumors of like Sybil Glover just kind of just chilling in the Godswood a lot. I do believe that Galbert through Mage essentially was like, hey, you got some people up there, have them help, and this is an idea to get them to, get the Greyjoys out of there. Just like a little tactical note, like, hey, in your next, letter to your daughter, can you just like write this little message? Thanks. That was it. That's
yeah. So it makes me wonder how many, I think like the northern clans, they have a good idea of what's going on, because you have northern clansmen that made their way to Alice Karstark's wedding to the Magnar Thin.
Yep.
And John even like, we all agree it's like a common belief that they went down there not for the wedding but to suss out John.
Yes,
so
and he thinks it's for the wildlings, and you think, Alicia? Sorry, I cut you off. My bad.
Did I have an epiphany earlier today? I'm not remembering right now.
No, the point you were going to say that because I was going to say John thinks it's that sussing out the wildlings, but they're actually just sussing out John to see if he's actually like a good candidate. Yeah,
to see how he handles things, because it's a very like stressful situation. Like the shit is tense. Seeing how he handles it, they're like, okay, I see you. And like he even like they even had this discussion about like, so where are you going to put these wildlings? You're not going to put them on my lands, are you? And he's like, no, they're going to garrison the wall. And one of them was like, well, how do you know you can trust them? And John's like, because I have hostages. And it's just that whole exchange. John can tell that they liked what they heard, so they're definitely.
Oh, because he says like, what do you say? Like, I may be a green boy, but I'm still a son of Ned Stark.
Yep. So, with that said, I'll go ahead.
No, finish. I'm sorry.
We're doing that thing Chloe was talking about. With that said, about 80% of Stannis' army right now is made up of Northerners. That 20% is the one that's struggling every day doing the cold count. It must look wacky as fuck in that camp. Anyway, I think that I feel bad for Stannis because they have no fucking intention whatsoever to actually crown this man. They're just like,
it's a means to an end.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like, I love seeing like the North is honorable, but I love seeing like the true North, because I don't think that Ned Stark is, though he's a good leader of the North, he's one of the most perfect leaders that the North could have. He's not a good representation of the actual North. I think what Roose Bolton has to say about the Umbers is probably a better representation of the North, and they're not without low cunning. So with that said, I kind of feel bad for Stannis because the North is using the fuck out of him. He is a means to an end. However, speaking of Stannis is not going to fucking love this whole plan to crown Jon Snow. However, I think by the time they get around to trying to crown Jon Snow, or Jon Snow takes up that mantle, I think Davos will have returned with Rickon from Skagos, and Rickon will then be in Stannis' custody. And Stannis has a lot of investment in keeping Rickon as the actual rightful, legitimate ward of the North, to make him a lord under Stannis' kingship or whatever stupid shit like that.
Yeah.
But
I was gonna bring up, when we were talking about the clansmen, actually speaking of lords in Winterfell, Bran encountered somebody from House Little on his way to the wall, and they knew who Bran was. So the clansmen, Bran even says, he's like, they're watching us right now. So the clansmen obviously know a crippled boy with a dire wolf, and who doesn't know Hodor? He's like 7 feet tall, and all he says is Hodor. So
Hodor.
And then 2 little crannic men, I think they figured out, they called his card. They're like, yeah, that's definitely Ned's child, like walking over here. And they have this information.
He's not walking over there. That's the problem.
He's being carried over there. They're traveling up north, but they have this knowledge, and they're in Stannis' camp. They do not share this knowledge. Like, they keep this knowledge to themselves that Bran is still alive.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is like, I obviously know like Sam knows that Bran's alive, and Sam mentions multiple times that since Bran swore him to secrecy, he won't break that secret, like that oath. But why do you guys think? I think it's so dumb. Like, you should have at least told John. Like, I'm sorry. Like, yeah,
I'd be
like,
so
you
mad at
told
him
me
if I
not
was
to
John.
tell you, but I'd be fucking furious if you let my little brother go up there unattended, knowing what's out there. I would. Oh my god, I'd beat Sam up so fast.
Yeah,
I love Sam, but no, so it's uncool. I get he's what is he 9? A 9
Sam was probably like, he yelled at me.
I couldn't help it. I keep the best secrets.
He told me not to tell you. He had puppy dog eyes. Please let me go north of the wall.
Like, come on, Sam. But I was gonna say, why do you guys think that they haven't said anything about that yet, or like, are they waiting for a good time to drop the ball?
Kind of the same reason I said that, like, they have more investment in sticking Jon on the throne than like a boy lord or anything like that. It's just Bran can't. We hate Bran on this pod. We hate on him so much. Bran can't do shit that they're aware of. Even then, like, once he's trained, they don't know he's training to be the next, the biggest fucking voyeur ever. Like, they don't know he's doing all that shit. For all intents and purposes, he went north of the wall to go die.
Actually, and they look at Bran, like, even in A Clash of Kings, when he has the feast at Winterfell, they look at him. The Northern Lords look down on him. They laugh at him. They snicker at him because he's a cripple. And, like, to them, which is a reason I feel like they're not. I feel like Rickon is the choice over Bran. It's because Bran is crippled. Yeah. I don't think it's any other reason. Maybe it could be Rickon's easier to locate. But I do recall that feast at Winterfell when they were kind of like, he's a cripple. Oh my god. Like, little bitches.
Being carried by Hodor.
Wasn't that the same feast that he was in his 8-year-old mind? He was trying to imagine Wyman Manderley climbing on top of Lady Danella.
Yeah. He's such a creep.
He's such a pervert.
See, there were signs early on. There were early signs. He's such a little...
I was gonna say, now that I think about it, do they know he was going north of the wall, or you think they might have thought he was just going to the wall because Jon's at the wall?
I think they said they were... Oh, did they decide they were going north of the wall at that point?
Because if this is the Mountain Clans, they're south of the wall.
Okay, I think they said something about going north of the wall.
Okay, I honestly don't remember if they did or not, because that's the only thing I could think of is they didn't say it because they probably just thought he went to go to Jon.
But here's the thing, though. If he said he was going to the wall and all that time had passed and he did not make it to the wall, it's safe to assume he might be dead. Or they told him that he went north of the wall, and they're like, yeah, he's dead. However, Rickon is in Skagos. Like, you can go get that. So, I mean, yeah. They're probably assuming he's dead at this point. He does not come up at all during the GNC.
You brought up the little, and I feel like the little was put in there for a fucking reason. Because not only for the point that you brought up about the little, about them seeing a dire wolf and a boy, but when Bran, doesn't the little like talk about like how the North was so much better when there was a Stark in Winterfell, and like the North is just such a better place with the Stark. So a lot of those people that are like pro Stark, pro restoration of the North remembers like, let's put a Stark back in Winterfell. It's because they were just good lords. They're just good rulers, fair and just. And
which is why you do not need a 3-year-old feral baby on the throne that doesn't even remember his father's fucking teachings.
Right. And I feel like Jon, as much as we know Jon is not Ned's son, and Jon is Rhaegar's son, and Jon is so much like Ned.
Mm-hmm.
So much like Ned. And he was like born for this position. Like, I don't want to say he was born for this, but he was bred for this shit, because he's been trained by like, not trained, but he's been influenced by Ned, Benjen, Mance Rayder, Jeor Mormont. Like, those are
Maester Aemon.
Stannis, Maester Aemon. Like, those are men. Like, like those are men that, despite their flaws, because they all got fucking flaws, that would make good rulers, at least just rulers.
Just yeah.
Because
If you look at it
ruler.
inherently, like it like if we play the genetics, if that how influences personality.
Mhm.
Tywin himself, and I again bringing it up because that's my guy. Even like says like when Barristan so stupidly saves Aerys at fucking Duskendale, stupid ass town.
Duskendale always starting some shit.
Duskendale. But when Barristan goes to save, he's like, "We got a good king right here." Who was Rhaegar? Who's Jon's daddy? So it's like, and from what we've seen of Rhaegar, he seemed like a very charismatic leader. He was super emo like Jon. Jon's like super emo, and he like, you know, like brings people to him. Like he's like a natural charismatic leader.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of that has to do with like a bit of his dad, and then obviously being raised by Ned helped a lot.
Yeah. I kind of think there will be no problem.
Yeah.
Like there will be no issue in Jon becoming King of the North.
Yeah.
There'd be no issue. If anyone makes an issue about it, it will be because they want to like regent over Rickon to regent over the North. And I could see that from
I definitely could see that.
The only person I can really see having the means, the power, and the ambition to do that is Wyman Manderly. However, I do think Rickon is more of a backup than he is plan A.
Yeah. I think Jon is everybody's plan A.
I just thought of something with Wyman. He kind of got like a two birds, one stone with that Davos mission. Because in the event Davos does bring back Rickon, like, yay. But Davos is one of Stannis' most capable men and offers Stannis like the best counsel. I feel like when it comes to like as a go-between, because like Stannis is like to talk to, but like Davos kind of makes Stannis seem more likable. Like there's that popular quote of like, do we actually like Stannis, or is it just Davos really like Stannis so we think we like him too?
He's a good hype man.
So yes, so with that being said, do you think Wyman's like, well, in the event we do lose Davos, that still weakens Stannis a little bit more? Meaning when we're done with him, like whatever purpose that we need him to like kind of like kill off some like Boltons and Freys for us.
Because
it'd be easier to take out.
If they think that Stannis is ever gonna like give them the North.
Honestly, I think they're gonna turn on him because of the whole sacrificing people to the Red Gods, and how especially like the Northerners, like the Mountain Clans, they're like, y'all need to stop that shit. This is the old god territory, and you guys need to cut that out.
Imagine if Melisandre wants to burn some Weirwoods.
They would not stand for that. They would not stand for that at all.
No, I think
something to consider too. By the time the Battle of Ice is over, like Stannis isn't really going to have much of an army left. So what's he going to do? Just like, he's like way too pragmatic and way too proud to beat his chest and be like, I'm the king. I'm the king. He's just going to take what's left of his retinue and he's going to go to the Night Fort.
Do you really think he's going to lose that many forces?
He doesn't have, he's losing quite a bit. He loses like 80 people a day.
He only has 20% of his army left. Like that, that 80% is northern houses. So if they abandon him, he has 20% of his army.
He's losing up to like 80 people a day just to the cold. His men, because the Northmen are fine. Like they're chilling.
I had a stupid ass brain blast, and again, I can't believe I'm referencing these assholes one more time. But the Northmen in the show I don't think this is why they're going to turn on him, because Shireen's at the wall. She's nowhere near Stannis, even though we do know he eventually does sacrifice Shireen, but I think that's down the line after this whole battle and stuff like that. But I definitely could see him turning a lot of his forces against himself just from sacrifices alone. Yeah. Like they're like, we don't need you anymore.
Yeah, they don't want him anyway. Like, part of what makes Robb Stark being King of the North, part of what makes it so impactful on the storyline is that the North wants liberation. Like they decided with Rob, all those great lords, like Rob didn't like, hey, let me be your king. They're just like, you know what? Stannis doesn't mean anything to me. Neither does Renly. Then fuck the Lannisters. It was the dragons that we bowed to. The dragons are all dead. So the only way they're gonna take off the crown that Rob got and sit it down and become lords again, ruled over by a seat in the South, is if dragons have it. I don't have them. And honestly, I think it's gonna be Bran that becomes king in the North. I think the Fisher
Before
King.
John?
No, I think John's gonna. I think John's gonna.
Oh,
die.
after.
Like
No.
Endgame.
No, Endgame. Endgame.
Oh, Endgame. Gotcha.
Bran is king in the North. I think that Fisher King theory goes with it. Fits it really well about the Stark needing to be in Winterfell and Bran being the king of Winterfell, and is like, as long as a Stark is on the throne, then the land around it, like it's, I don't know, some kind of cycle shit. But I'm tired. But the little makes me feel that it's gonna be Bran, because he talks about how much the kingdom flourishes when the Starks are in power. And I think there's no way I think it's gonna be Jon. Not because like I feel like the show ending for Jon is kind of accurate. Like I feel like he probably will go north of the wall and become like a king beyond the wall.
I was gonna say I think he's gonna be king beyond the wall.
Yeah.
Eventually.
But
in like an epilogue or some stupid shit like that. But.
Yeah, or I think he's gonna die. Like I don't think he's I don't think he's gonna be on the throne. I don't think there's gonna be a throne at the end of this shit.
See, I thought like for Jon, like temporary king of the North until he loses it, kind of like how it like played out a little bit. Like he had it, then he lost it. But I don't think he's abdicating it. I'd throw that out wholeheartedly.
I don't want it.
That's no abdications here. But I was gonna bring out Wyman has some forces chilling. He has the ships and the knife. He's got like I think he controls almost like a major chunk of the North, like their resources and like footed men. And like he says he has more like for how many years he has essentially like an army just waiting in the wind somewhere. We don't know where. So I just got a brain blast. So I think obviously we know like the Battle of Ice, there's no Battle of the Bastards. It's going to be essentially Ramsay versus the Boltons versus Stannis. How do you guys think of Wyman's forces that he has kind of chilling that are most likely controlled by Robert, whatever you want to call him, Glover, are going to come through on some Deus Ex Machina shit and help save Stannis at the end of the day? With the other Manderly
like
forces
kind of
like
shit, like on
exactly
just
like the Veil. But I think it'd be a little bit different, more different.
I think alludes to that shit.
Yeah.
Remember we talked about the mermaids?
Yes. Oh, we should find the quote. Oh, dang it.
Patchface alludes to it. He's like, I'll lead it. Mermaids will come and we'll blow seashells to announce their arrival. So Manderly probably has his secret army. And then he has all those fucking ships.
Yeah. And then figure they're sending Rouge is sending currently the Freys and the Manderlys out. If the other Manderly force is coming in to reinforce those other Manderlys, I can easily see them turning and going with Stannis and all of them turning on the Freys at once. Because at that point, they'd most likely outnumber them and actually stand a fighting chance to
that
get them
shit
out.
Would blow my mind.
And figure if they do that.
Like Red Wedding levels.
Because figure you do that, you weaken that Frey force. Boltons are by themselves, surrounded completely by enemies on the inside. Yeah, it makes it 10 times easier to take them down.
I think you just cracked the code, bitch.
I think I did. You guys watched it here first. Live reaction. Just had an epiphany.
Just like how Mandy all but proved that Mance wrote the pink letter last week. We're on a fucking roll, guys.
Look at us.
Yes.
Hey, Look at us.
Who would have thought?
Oh, and Mandy's not here
Not
yet
me.
here this week, but she'll be back next week, guys.
She dropped the super chat earlier. Sorry we didn't get to it. We love you. If you're still
Oh,
here,
I'll
love
answer
you.
some super chats really quick. So we have a super chat from Baby Mickey 2081. Thank you for the super chat. Love you guys. I don't get to catch you all live often. Keep doing a good job. But another super chat. Matthew Witham, you're gorgeous, Greg. Good chat. Thank you. And
Just her. Wow.
we're all gorgeous.
Just gorgeous.
And our lovely, lovely hands
I
with
miss
queen,
you.
Nim Shadow, Mandy. Just wanted to say hello and I love you, beautiful ladies. Love you more. Yeah. So I think that was all of them. I hope that was because I lost some.
If we miss any, can the mods that are here tonight, can you just at one of us just so we can grab them real quick? But I think we did get. I think
Yeah,
we got them.
I think I got them. Someone said, I know. Oh. Like Patch Face's riddles. Like I know we're talking about Grand Northern Conspiracy, but Patch Face's riddles. Like after an event has happened, I feel like it's so fucking easy. Like it's so obvious what he was saying. Like with when Davos hears him talking about the Red Wedding, like it's obvious what he's saying. But when you try to figure out like what he's saying about other shit, like all that shit he says at the wall, brain fart. But I think you figured it out, Ara.
I think I did to look at that. Woo woo. Actually, I think it's funny when we were talking about Patch Face and that thing, and I think we discussed the Manderleys like, oh, they're merman like logo sigil, and then we're just like, okay, that's it. And then look at us. So yeah, go watch that Melisandre episode.
Can we touch down on?
Sorry.
Maybe I'm torn. I'm gonna say one more thing, but I'm torn on which one I want to address. Before we close out and vote on or present our next idea for an episode, I would like to talk about the fact that Dagmar still holds Torrhen Square.
Oh,
yeah,
I forgot about that.
Right?
I really forgot about that.
Me too.
So with that said, that's still a bit of a factor with things going on.
And that's not that far from Winterfell at all.
Half a day's ride.
Ooh.
Half a day's ride. I go.
Asha, do you think they're gonna help get Asha out when Asha's going? I think when they're gonna intercept them on their way to the wall.
I was like trying to come on, guys, come on. So I do think that. Oh, go ahead.
No, go.
Sorry. Oh, Dagmar is still a factor. He's just been sitting there quietly in Torrhen Square, and nobody's really given much of a fuck because the Kerwin army is fucking decimated. But it sucks for the Kerwins because is it the Kerwin? Yeah, the Kerwins are at Torrhen. Yeah, it sucks for them because their heir is also in Torrhen Square with Dagmar right now. Part of the reason she didn't show up to the wedding at Winterfell, she was a little tied up.
Hostage, yeah.
Kind of a hostage.
I could definitely see them possibly like intercepting that travel because figure what we have it's supposed to be Alysanne, Tycho Nestoris, Asha, and Jane Westerling. Not Jane Westerling. Oh my god, Jane Poole. Wrong Jane in transport. All heading to the wall. I could definitely see, and they're not far from Torrhen Square, so I could definitely see. And then figure there's other iron. Well, we know that Asha has what are the two? Her two friends at least.
Buddies.
Yeah, and
Carl
probably some
and
other.
Motley.
Yeah, and then figure you got people coming in and out of that camp all the time between scouts and stuff like that. It's very. I could see them like an Ironborn kind of slipping in, getting a message or two out. Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense to me, and I like that as a way for Theon to get away. because I don't.
Somewhere to go immediately until things can like soothe themselves, or well, I mean, things are only going to escalate from here, but like the situation, somewhere to go until. But at the same time, I can see him not wanting to go anywhere near fucking Winterfell.
Or Torrent Square, because Torrent Square is where it all started for Theon, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Who
'Cause he was
says
supposed
that
to just
Theon
take
has
it.
to go to Torrent Square though? Though I don't know why Dagmar, in the middle of a fucking snowstorm, would just leave the warmth of
Yeah, that
Torrent.
is true.
Right.
That is true. Honestly, if he did leave anywhere, to just leave the north in general, because winter's here and they don't know how to deal with that.
I think one of the reasons they're not concerned about Dagmar is because, like I said, Kerwin's forces are all but decimated. I think maybe like 200 of Kerwin's forces fight against the Boltons right now. There's a massive snowstorm, and they know that the Ironborn aren't fucking going anywhere. They don't have the resources to, so they're just letting them chill there. But it is odd to me that Dagmar is just still chilling in Torrent Square, and it's not really addressed all that much. Maybe it's because I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he's in Torrent Square still.
So, do we have anything else that we did not cover when it comes to the Grand Northern Conspiracy?
Honestly, there's so many plot threads. We probably missed something along the way, but I think we touched a lot of the major key points.
That is the first time we've been like,
look at us,
organized.
Just being serious
and we just
tonight.
hit the 2-hour mark. We just hit the 2-hour mark.
Look at that.
I'm so proud of us.
I know.
Are you guys proud? Are you guys proud of us?
You guys should.
They're probably like, "Where's the banter, you dumb bitches?"
Like, we come here for fun. What is this?
We have a super chat from Josh Gripe, Triple OG Josh. Thank you for always coming through with great content and analysis. Y'all are the best. Hope everyone has a great week. Sending peace, love, and positive vibes everyone's way. Also, Count Valerian, I saw you said that people were asking for the Discord link, and I will put it in the description box. Yes. Yes, darling.
Dagmar is still at Torrent Square. Confirmed.
GNC locator.
Oh, yes.
Shout out. Yes, the shout out.
We have an absolute shout out. We would love to thank Lady Guinevere from Radio Westeros, because years ago, way back in like 2013, maybe she put it together before this, like 8-9 years ago, she made something called the GNC tracker, and she made this whole spreadsheet with hundreds of names on it that are connected to the North, exactly where they are, and little tidbits about like who they, like right down to the armies, like the Kerwinmen, like they could have knowledge about this, and this. It was amazing. Ara and I both heavily referenced.
Resource.
It's such a great tool, and it's
thank you.
Like
thank
better
so
part
much.
of a decade later, we are just like, Lady Gwen, thank you. Like
Shout
all you have to do, all you have to do is Google. All you have to do is Google GNC tracker, and it pops right up. And it's a pretty timeless tool, because even with all the new material that's come out, it's very factual based on the. Yeah.
While you're at it, throw a Song of Ice and Fire probably in that search before you get like actual like GNC locations, possibly.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Do that, because I got GNC. Yeah.
Also, while we're here, who do you guys want us to cover? So we talked about this a little bit, and I thought it would be so we could continue to cover wins a winner and only wins a winner, or we could add in some topics like House of the Dragon, Great Council 101, the Greens, the Blacks, Rhaenyra. So it's like a mix up, just depending on which topic you vote for. Yes.
We had also discussed how we're going to try to also like ingratiate more theories in there, not just like so that y'all can vote on certain theories, not just characters in general. Because I have another
like this.
One,
like this video was a theory that the Grand Northern Conspiracy is a theory that's all but proven. So like if you wanted us to do R plus L equals J, we would do a stream on that. So with that in mind, we'll give our topics that we want to cover for next week.
Yes.
We're still in Westeros. We haven't.
Oh yeah, guys. We are gonna wrap up Westeros. So the plan is to get your feedback, because obviously you guys are a big part of this too. So starting in November is when that would most likely be happening. Just looking at our current timetable now, we'll be finishing up Westeros this month. So let us know how you guys feel. If maybe there's some other Westerosi theories we can also hit along the way. But yeah, because somebody mentioned that in the comments.
With that said, I know exactly what I want to suggest for a vote. I think that because it's October, usually I don't really get into
the spirit
Halloween season. I don't really get into
If
the
you
spirit
say
of
what I
Halloween.
think you're going to say, I'm just going to vote for what you say.
What do you think I'm going to say?
No, I want you to say it first, because I'm thinking it.
Okay. I want to discuss what we were discussing earlier about how the Riverlands are blood-soaked fields, how there might be this whole weirdness, and High Heart. I really want to discuss High Heart because I don't remember which one of you I was on the phone with. Maybe it was Mandy.
It was me when you were
when I had the roller.
You had a fucking map and you were looking at it and you were yelling
what?
at me. Yes, it was me.
What was I yelling at you about?
Because I was like, "What did you say?" And you were like, "Map," and I was like, "Okay,
yeah,
Dora."
Because I don't know how many times I have to say fucking map, and you're like, "What?"
Guys, mind you, I was in the middle of nowhere.
Listen,
and I had bad service.
In context, I kept saying map. I even spelled it, and she's like, "Huh?" So yeah, I started yelling at your ass. Shit.
I called her Dora.
Fun fact. Pretty much all of my white friends have had a toddler at some point that has called me Dora. It's only my white friends who have toddlers that are like, Dora. You
look nothing like Dora.
Which makes me question how much they expose their babies to brown people. I'm just saying. Fun fact. Anyway, I want to talk about High Heart specifically.
I'm just sitting here. I'm like, she doesn't even have the bob.
Yeah, I don't even look Hispanic. Everyone said I barely even look black. Everyone says I look Arab. So I mean, anyway, I did. God, this got off kilter.
So she wants Bloody Riverlands.
I want Bloody Riverlands / High Heart. So
a heart?
blood droplet.
Blood droplet. Okay. I want, because it's Halloween, the Night Fort. I want to discuss the Night Fort in depth. History and lore
racist babies
of the Night Fort. I want to go over the history and lore of the Night Fort, but I also want to talk about the theory that Stannis goes back to the Night Fort, lives and dies there, and becomes a Night King.
Love that.
So if you want that, put a snowflake.
Dang.
Why not?
Since we're kind of going,
what else could we put, Alicia?
Why castle?
Not? Put a castle, guys.
I'm such a tyrant tonight.
Put a castle.
A castle or a snowflake, either or. Just make it wintry. This changed my whole game plan since we were going more with the spirit of things. So, hold on. This changed my.
I know you got something in that big brain.
Should one of us text Mandy and be like, "Yo,
yeah,
now's good." Yeah. Should I call her right now, bitch? No, I'm gonna text her.
Damn. I'm sorry, guys. I did not know where we were going with it. I'm gonna be boring because
we kind of didn't either.
I have a little checklist, girl. So just because we talked about it a little bit here, I'm gonna say the Maesters, the Maester conspiracy.
Rats. Put a rat.
Put your little gray rats.
Greasy ass rats.
So that has to deal with what the Maesters have been previously up to, what they're currently up to, death of dragons, what's up with Pate, aka Jack and Hagar, I forgot his name.
And we can talk about the maze makers of Lorath and the oily black stone when we talk about the Maesters.
Oh.
There we go.
Okay.
It incorporated.
That's
It went in.
okay. All right.
Thank you, girl.
You're
Thanks for
welcome.
the assist.
Maybe Mandy already. What is it, like 8:00 her time? Do you think she already went to bed?
No, she might be really busy.
Yeah.
I'm sure she's cool with these choices, with all of them.
Okay, so those are the three choices.
Oh, to the people that are putting Euron in the chat, we actually have like 2 Euron episodes. One on this channel, as well as a collaboration we did with the Usual Suspects, which you can find on Tony Teflon's channel, which I believe is like Tony Teflon TV.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've covered Euron extensively, guys.
I think we're awesome, but I think like the better episode of the Euron episodes is when we went over to Usual Suspects.
No, why? Because I was there.
They're equally the same.
Listen, I think that first
I'm gonna be the guy. It's because I was there for that one.
No, there was a lot more people. There was a lot more people on the episode on their chat. Like we had Bridge 4, we had Phil the Issues guy. All of us were there.
It was fun, especially when Bridge was
he
like,
just fucking loves Victorian.
I love Victorian.
And
I love Bridge.
Get over Bridge 4 saying that Victorian was like in love with the dusky woman on the low. On the low. She can't
see.
Over
Even
it.
just thinking about it, I'm just like, ah.
But I'll actually be on the channel for he's doing a What If series on Wednesdays. And I'll be on his channel soon to talk about what if Robert didn't die.
I as well will be on his channel soon. I don't know for what. I just tuned into his episode. And he's like, Alicia, you're coming on. And I was like, okay.
Wait, whoa. I'm going to call. Somebody go tell Tony that I'm calling him out. I didn't get an invite.
Just invite yourself. We're breaking the rules.
We did. I didn't even get an invite. He was just like, when are you going to come on my... And I was like, are you inviting me? Because I didn't know I was supposed to. So since you're inviting me, okay.
Someone said, can y'all invite Bridge for the Victorian episode?
So, okay.
My son and
We'll
stars.
see what we can do.
Here's another announcement. Here's another announcement. Alicia's going to try to invite Bridge for the Victorian episode.
I'm going to try.
But also, we are thinking about moving forward, and you guys let us know like what you think about this idea. Moving forward, incorporating more guests. Like I want to have, so we have our Daenerys episode. Sam Rixian is coming on that episode, and I want to have Quinn on for an episode, and we want to invite like the Girls Gone Canon girls and the Not a Cast guys, and like we've talked about inviting different people to come on and join us in this fuckery on Sunday.
We're gonna feel really fucking dumb after you announced all that, and like,
I mean, I'm not
come on.
They're obligated. I want to invite. They're not obligated in no way, shape, or form.
Yeah, this was us telling you to tell them that they should come hang out with us.
Yeah, I just want to
I'll
know,
be
like,
the messenger, I guess.
I want to know what you guys think of, us bringing guests, because it bring back Obsidian Nights. Obsidian Nights episode is out. It's on Spotify.
Someone said we want a 2 hours episode riot with 6 guests.
Okay, so we'll bring Tony and Phil, because they can go 2 hours. And it will be a riot.
Honestly, I think we should bring on Edric Storm. I'll have to mute my mic the whole time. Otherwise, it's just going to be me, like, just cackling.
No, he's supposed to come on. He's supposed to come on.
Yeah.
We'll probably have to, like, make him. So, guys, Uncle Edric's coming on.
Uncle Edric. I forgot about that.
But anyway, make sure you vote if you want the Night Fort, Night King Stannis theory, all the lore. Put a castle or a snowflake, because I already saw so many snowflakes and I want them to be counted, those snowflakes. And then if you want High Heart, Blood Trees, Blood Droplets,
Maester's Grey Rats.
Maester's Grey Rats.
Ooh, Guys, I don't even know if we should do this, but the chats are asking for our nuncle, the resident troublemaker, Cedric Storm, to join us.
Well, I want him to join us. And also we talked about you guys being able to join us. Like you guys in the chat. You guys being able to join us. So think about that if you want to do that. So we talked about a lot because we love this shit. But I'm tired. I have to go to sleep.
Mandy just texted me. She asked if we did Olenna.
No, we haven't.
We
haven't touched on the Tyrells at all, except Marjorie.
Yeah.
So Olenna, the Queen of Thorns. It should be a flower. Any flower.
Put a rose if you wanted to do Olenna.
You should do grapes because she's a red wine.
Do grapes.
I'm controlling.
No, do flowers. I feel like more people have flower emojis.
I'm so controlling. Grapes.
Flowers. I'm just kidding. All right. Yeah.
I want the grapes. Okay. You guys, I just love us, you know?
Yes.
And we love you. And we love you guys that are here with us and that are coming to watch us later. Y'all are awesome. Appreciate you.
All right, guys. You have a good week and a good night. And I will see you. Me and Ara will see you on Wednesday for American Horror Story on her channel. So her channel this week. Channel name I Eat Zebra.
Yeah.
So, what the fuck? Channel name I Eat Zebra. So make sure you subscribe to her channel so you can get the notification when we go live on Wednesday. You guys have a good night. We will see you next week. And also Preposterous as Fuck will be coming out soon.
Yeah, man.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.